Hello! I'm so glad you could join me. My name is Pixie. I make videos about art and books, and today I'm gonna share with you an art mistake that I made. And this story isn't gonna make me look very smart, and I don't really have a good defense, but I wanna share it so you don't have to do the same thing. So I've had this set of jelly cup gouache for I think a year and a half, and over that time I've had to re-wet the paints, like wet them with water and mix it around to make the paints again, because they dry out after a few months. And the other week it occurred to me that I had seen Steph on Doodle Date, which by the way is one of my favorite art channels, and I really recommend checking them out. Anyway, I had seen them use vegetable glycerin to preserve gouache paints. And I thought maybe if I put glycerin into the cups, they will stay wet for longer. And I still think that's true, but I did it bad. But we'll get to that. So I did a quick Google on this, and I found a thread on Wet Canvas where someone had used glycerin as a sort of painting medium, like just on their palette a little bit to make the gouache be like workable for longer, to allow for wet on wet mixing a little bit easier. And that was basically all the confirmation I needed. So I ordered some glycerin from the pharmacy, and when it arrived, my thought process was basically like, well, I want these cups to continue to stay wet for as long as possible, so I'm just going to use the glycerin. I'm not going to put any water in, because surely that will make them stay wet a really long time. And it does, as I discovered when I started painting with them, and the day after, some of the paint was still sticky. So I really think it would have been better if I had also used water for the re-wetting of the paints and had some glycerin in the mix rather than using just glycerin and just pouring it straight from the bottle. Also, because I had so much glycerin, the paintings ended up being kind of shiny, and something I really like about gouache is precisely that it is not shiny, but matte, which maybe doesn't seem to make sense because oil paints are another one of my favorite mediums, and they are shiny, but they're just two different vibes is all, and sometimes you're feeling the matte vibe, you know? For these paintings, I chose to do pretty simple still lifes. I used reference images from Unsplash, which is one of my favorite places to get reference images. And I chose them, because they were simple, but also because they had pretty cool lighting stuff going on, and I am trying to practice my light and shadow work. I guess pretty cool isn't really the best way to put it, but they had clear lights and darks and interesting value shifts that I wanted to take a look at on fairly simple forms, so I didn't get lost in focusing on a lot of detail and stuff. So fortunately for me, I do have other gouache paints in tubes, because I do think I may have ruined this jelly set for myself by putting just so much glycerin in it. So that was not a good call. I realize now in hindsight that I could have done the glycerin to one of the cups and tested that before I went ahead and did it to all of them. But I was just so convinced that it was gonna work great that I didn't stop to think of that. And it's ended up working out okay, because I'm not out of gouache paints now. I just may not use that set so much anymore, which is sad because there's quite a bit of paint left in it, but it didn't cost a ton, and I have had a lot of use out of it. So I'm trying not to feel too much regrets. But like I said, I do think that this method could work for the cups specifically, but I think it would be a better idea to use water and then add glycerin in like a small amount. I think that's the way to go. And if you end up trying this, I would love to know how it turns out. Because, like, I don't think the theory is wrong. I think I did it bad. But now I know, and now you know. So you don't have to make this mistake. I did it for you. I'm nice that way. Anyway, thank you for hanging out with me, and I hope this was useful. An extra shout out to my patrons who help make this possible. I super appreciate you. And I want you to take care of yourself and try to have a nice time occasionally, despite life being difficult. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.